Hi everyone. So what's going on in here? This is the palace. This is the eighth and the final episode of the Oldenburg Palace in Tbilisi. The previous episode is, by the way, still available on my YouTube channel. You can access it from my website, aniaga.com, as most of you know. And we are located in the heart of the so-called German colony of Tbilisi, where in the 19th century, a lot of German families, found a home and also started their life. I would say, yeah, they just be given a fresh start and look at this gorgeous house, which is now the museum of Georgian theater, music, cinema, and choreography. But there is another name to this place: Love Palace, Art Palace, and okay, Art Palace we can understand, but why is it called Loved Palace? Well, a palace because it was built by some of the most prolific and popular architects of 19th century Tbilisi, Paul Stern, who was a German architect, and also a Polish interior designer and architect, Alexander Rogojski, worked on this project for an Austrian for an Austrian family. Titel, Emilia Titel is she used to be at least for her name, the palace used to be registered before it was purchased by the Oldenburg family. And exactly thanks to the Oldenburgs, that is Duke Constantine Oldenburg and Agrippina Japaridze, who became Agripina von Zarnikau later on. So the place is called the Love Palace. And today we're in the previous seven tours we have spoken about their love story, which is, I would say, buried under the truth is really buried under so many rumors and legends that even the museum administration, yeah, are okay with you naming it a love palace. The legend has it in very simple terms that the palace was even built for just one night stand, which is not true. It wasn't built for Duke Constantine, but it was purchased by the Constantine Oldenburg for his new wife. However, they, as you probably remember, they didn't really live in this palace for a long time because they were based in Kutaisi, which is the city about 4 hours drive, 3 hours drive by car from Tbilisi itself. And I would like to remind you that Oldenburgs were related to the Romanovs. So technically speaking, it's a way also a Romanov heritage site in Georgia. But obviously, Georgia is an independent state. It's no longer part of the Russian Empire. It's no longer part of the Soviet Empire. Goodness, thank goodness. But there is some common history here, and that much we can do about it, but appreciate what's left of it. So, without any geopolitics involved, I just would like to appreciate Georgian history and this unique example of neo-Gothic and eclectic architecture in the Caucasus. The proof that the palace did not really belong to Oldenburg's after 1908. This is the photo taken in 1916, 1917, and it was already the kind of the headquarters of Vysotsky Tea Company, the same Vysotsky Tea Company that whose tea I'm drinking actually right now. The Vysotsky, I don't know if you can see the tag. That's the tea bag of green tea with mint. We see a couple more interesting portraits here that I really want to talk about. And first, I would like to give a little bit of a story of Pyotr Tchaikovsky, whose portrait you can see here to the right over there. So Pyotr Tchaikovsky was a big fan of Georgia, which may be a bit surprising to some of you, but I think I did mention him on a lot of my tours of Georgia before. He was in Georgia 5 times, mainly because one of his brothers, who was a lawyer, and by the way, this is the Tchaikovsky brothers photograph, so they were five Tchaikovsky brothers, if I'm not mistaken. So Nikolai, Pyotr, Anatoly, Ippolit, and Modest. And well, Tchaikovsky, well, Pyotr Tchaikovsky definitely was the most famous representative of the family. However, Anatoly Tchaikovsky, that's his portrait, was a lawyer, and he was assigned to uh, a good lawyer's position to Tbilisi, and eventually he even became vice um, governor to Tbilisi. And his brother Pyotr would visit him very often. He was a big fan of Tbilisi. He was a big fan of Georgia, and he shared a lot of the memoirs of his trips to Georgia with in his diaries. And well, Tchaikovsky was a world famous musician during his lifetime. And as he when one during one of the visits to Tbilisi, that was in the 1880s, he was approached. He was approached by some of the local musicians, well, his colleagues, asking whether he could speak to the Tsar, that is at that point already Nicholas II, if he could just talk to the Romanovs, at least to give it a try and ask them to finally give permission to build their in Tbilisi theater. Because there had been many attempts to ask permission from the Romanovs to do that, but there would just not be any answer. But when Tchaikovsky talked to Romanovs, well, things started to work, and eventually, in a couple of years, the big theater was constructed. In the meantime, Tchaikovsky enjoyed his time in Georgia, and also along with that, finally, the conservatory was opened. The music conservatory was opened closer to the end. Well, like in 1886, Tchaikovsky even taught at the conservatory for some time, and in between his work and concerts, he spent time with his friends, with his brother's family, and he even enjoyed a little bit of a love affair in Tbilisi, and he even considered moving to Tbilisi for good. This is how in love he was with Georgian hospitality, Georgian women, most probably, and Georgian talented people. This is the photo I found online, but this is the house in the Sololaki neighborhood where Tchaikovsky's brothers, well, obviously this house looked a lot nicer 100 years ago, but yes, this is where Tchaikovsky brother used to live, and that's where Piotr himself would be staying during his visits to Tbilisi. And the visits would last for weeks, not just a couple of days. And I particularly like this photograph, a very rare photograph of Piotr Tchaikovsky with a cotton wool in his ear. He was a hypochondriac, and he was always afraid to catch cold. I don't know. It's like, well, yeah, he was hypochondriac, and his doctor, who at some point got absolutely sick and tired of his constant visits and him complaining on feeling unwell and being scared to fall ill, his doctor just told Tchaikovsky to put cotton wool in his ears so he wouldn't get them cold, and that's what Tchaikovsky did. And when he got his photograph taken in St. Petersburg, uh, he forgot to take out the cotton wool from the ear. I just thought I would tell you this interesting story because I mean, I have to jump on every opportunity, uh, add some more stories to my narrative. We go on with that, and there is another portrait that is waiting for you, a portrait of Kota Marjanishvili. Kota Konstantin Marjanishvili is one of the most influential theater directors of the 20th century Georgia and one of the most influential theater directors in the 20th century Russia. He was a student of Stanislavski, uh, whom, of course, the world knows very well, but he did not completely agree with Stanislavski's approach, and eventually he even started his own school, so to speak, theater school, in more like a conceptual, point of view, not just the educational facility. And he always went through this, but he I wish it was a tour of Constantine Marjanishvili, but it's not. So what I'm going to do is just give you a kind of a brief overview. So he um, obviously also he was a theater director, but he was also even an actor himself, so he knew how to act, and he wanted always so well, he wanted drama on stage, but he also wanted it to be a spectacle. He wanted it to be not just a drama and the actors feelings or characters feelings on stage, but also rhythm, music, visual side of things, and everything put together, everything rehearsed to the smallest detail, every motion, every movement synchronized with the music, everything scrutinized to the smallest detail. That was what Kota really was. And I thought to share with you a little episode from one of the plays, one of the performances directed by him and filmed in the 1920s, I believe. That was an interesting story of Uriel da Costa. And the Uriel da Costa is just a very interesting character that his whose story might be also interesting to, well, to you, because it just happens to be the one of the stories that's well, some similar stories I quite share quite a lot on my tour. So who was Uriel da Costa, just in case you forgot? So he was a Portuguese born philosopher and religious dissenter of converso origin. So his parents were converted Jews, and he, well, already born as a Jew. In fact, he considered and he returned to the Jewish faith, but he always challenged rabbinic Judaism. And he was staying in Amsterdam, and he was frequent to the Portuguese synagogue that I actually gave a tours about, right? And it's just interesting how he, being absolute rebel in the world of Talmudic Judaism, rabbinical Judaism. So he was more of a Karaite Jew than a rabbinic Jew, and that was something absolutely revolutionary. And of course, his life was full of tragic. He was excommunicated repeatedly by the Jewish community. Obviously, he was totally forgotten and excommunicated from the Christian community as well. So that, well, his life and his death were um, of a big interest to many scholars. I'm not just talking about religious scholars, I'm talking about in general him as a very interesting character, Uriel da Costa. And um, a little bit of the explanation. So, what's going on here? Uh, so Konstantin Marjanishvili created during the, well, he started his career, he started his studying the theater in the Russian Empire. He started in Moscow, he started in St. Petersburg. He worked for a long time in Moscow, but he was a Georgian and he always considered himself a little that he didn't belong. But then he came to Georgia, and in Georgia, for a long time, it felt like he didn't completely belong to Georgia as well. And at that time, Georgia didn't really have that experimental school, so he was a big innovate. Well, his theater became revolution, innovation, and one of the big plays that would be an ultimate success is the Uriel da Costa performance. So it originally was staged by him in 1929. Later on, already after he passed away in 1930s, event 1935, if I'm not mistaken. So eventually it was filmed, and I wanted just to share with you a little bit, just a little episode. There's not like much to see, but the precision, every motion, every word, and it's in Georgian, by the way. I think that's what really, really, really matters here. There's just one thing that I want to make sure I have set right is the sound. I want you to make sure to to be able to see it, and to hear it. So, but we should be good, right, Kisa? And also pay attention to the costumes. The costumes were designed by Petra Otzheli, who we spoke about on one of the tours. Petra Otzheli was one of the most groundbreaking artists of 1920s and 1930s in Georgia. Incredibly talented with a tragic fate because he didn't survive the Stalin purges.
მეაქ მოვედი იმისათვის რომ შენ ეს გსურდა. იმედი მაქვს რომ სხვებს არ შეგვიძლია.
შენ აქ მოხვედი მხოლოდ იმისთვის რომ მე ეს ვსურდა? სად დაიკარგე? რით გაიძულე მე გაქცევა? და მე ვიგრძენი. სცენარეში, ქვაში, ლითონში, რამდენი ძალაა დაფარული. ნუ თუ ჩვენს გულში ჩაიფერფლა ყოველი გრძნობა არაურიელი, მე ეს არ მჯერა. მაშინ რა დაღმართე ჩემს თვალის წინ ზეცაში კიბე და მაშინ როცა მე დავფრინავ მაღალ ეთერში, როდესაც სულით მე დავცურავ ციურ უფსკლუში სავსე ნათელი და ნეტარებით, ნუ თუ შენ გინდა გამომაცალო ეს აღმართული ზეცაში კიბე, არა, მე უკან ვერ დავბრუნდები და ისევ ბრბოში ვერ ჩავინდგები.
შეჩვენება შემდეგ განდევნა. შეჩვენებულს ანუ შეიყვარე. ეს შეჩვენება მიმაჩნია მე ჩემს დიდებას. მაგრამ უფლებას მე არ მივცემ ქვეყნა და არავის რომ ეს დიდება ჩემთან ერთად გაიზიაროს.
უკეთეს შვილებს. ნუ თუ ერი უნდა სდევნი.
შენ ეს არ გიჭირა. მაგრამ ესია. ძვირფასო იუდით. უკანასკნელად.
Well, the quality of the video could have been better, but that's the only one I've been able to find. And so Kota Marjanishvili eventually got absolutely legendary. He became a top celebrity during his lifetime, but he didn't enjoy that period for a long time because he passed away. He fell ill. He passed away. He got really, really sick. And there is a theater named after him. There is a street metro station named after him. And I am planning to give a more detailed tour about Marjanishvili because he was an amazingly talented theater director with a tragic fate. But we move on, and there is a lot more that I wanted to talk to you about. Also, I promised last time I will be talking about, well, I will take you to the garden and we will explore a little bit of the garden as well. But before that, I promised to speak about a little bit about the choreography. So since it's also a museum of choreography, and on previous tours we mostly focused on opera, on theater, on cinema, so I wanted to share with you a story of one big dance school that was established by Nina Ramishvili and Ilya Sukhishvili. That's the two of them. So they were both dancer, like Georgian dancing, folk dancing. And Georgian dance school, well, it's a combination of ballet and traditional dances. So this is what the, so to speak, contemporary Georgian dances are. I'm not talking about the classical ballet. That's what also Georgia has, of course. But this is something absolutely unique, and it is something that totally mesmerizes audiences. International audience has always mesmerized international audience, let's put it this way. And so Nino Rumishvili and Ilya Sukhishvili became famous in Georgia, outside of Georgia, and even outside of the Soviet Union. They started traveling, go on tours during the Soviet time, just like a lot of Soviet ballet dancers. That ballet dancer that was There was a big thing. They were international stars. They got international acknowledgement. He mostly eventually he withdrew from stage and did a lot of administrative work, and also staging perform dances and performances, and he was a producer. And she kept on dancing till the very advanced age. And they were best friends, they were partners, they were lovers, and they just had this unique chemistry. And also there's one interesting fact that they were very unconventional. They never got married, which was obviously a bit criticized and a bit frowned on by the society, but they couldn't care less. So that's just an interesting story. And I wanted to share with you a little bit of the videos of, um, well, Nino Ormishvili also rehearsing, teaching in already quite advanced age. And just look at the posture. Just look at this woman. It's just incredible. I think she's in her 60s or 70s here, but she would be teaching almost till the last day of her life. And they had a big dance company, and the dance company is still around, by the way. And just recently it's been touring in the States, but we will get back to it. So I wanted to share with you a little video that I found on YouTube. So this is just me screen recording YouTube because I don't have any other ways of showing you this. And you don't even need the subtitles. It's just you need to see how she works, how she teaches her, and the way how she does that, and all her movement.
ვაღდას ეთამაშები, არა? ვაღდას აფრიალებ. არ შეხედარ ის რისად წავიდა. შეხედარ. თუ ამას აკაფრიალებ და თავი დაკაზე იატაკში და ხალი. ეხა. ეხი. ეხი. მე ფიტალარე კაკაგადმუანდო. დადექით ხაში. შედი ახლა ხაში. ნინოსა და ლიანას ხაში გვიან შემოbrunდი შენ კიდე ერთხელ ჩქარა. ქეთი ზამთარაძე გდეტი. Очень безразлично. Это гасторби შეხედე ხელს აკრითა იმიდიხარ რაღაც абсолютно безразлично идёшь. რა მოხდა კვირია? Всегда у тебя удивлённый вид, и всегда ты как будто с луны свалил. Модерный винар
So I'm just giving a little bit of the explanation. So she's talking to the dancers, they're rehearsing, and she says, you have to have absolute poker face, and you have to be a warrior. So the Georgian dances is like the contemporary dance, and it's combination of kind of more conventional movements, right? Elegant movements, but it's also always a recreation of some sort of a fight, because throughout Georgian history, which spans thousands of years, it was all constantly the survival of the small peoples under the onslaughts of Persians, Ottomans, well, Russians is a different story, but anyway, it was always fighting and this military element, the Georgian dances, this is always a battle too. And the Sukhishvili dance company still exists. It used to be run by the son and then by the grandchild as well. And I wanted to show you a little bit of this kind of a presentation video of what Sukhishvili dance company does nowadays. So this is, as I said, this is the combination of conventional ballet movements, like dance moves, and also some battlefield elements and acrobatics as well, some circus elements even. And there's a little bit of a little bit of a teaser. So, and as I said, that just recently the Sukhishvili Dance Company has been touring the States. And I wanted to share with you a little TikTok video of a big VIP guest attending the dressing rooms after the show of the Sukhishvili Company.
You are our favorite artist. Second.
Legendary.
Second favorite. You know who's first?
Who?
My grandpa.
Oh, yeah.
Who was the founder of this company?
Yes, yes.
Oh.
You know, I went to Georgia. You know this.
I know
Yes.
the 19s.
Yeah, but we were in the
40.
tour at that time,
Yeah.
all around the world, so we
Yeah.
couldn't meet that
No,
time.
I mean, it's so many years ago.
Yeah, it was
So I'm sure you have recognized Robert De Niro, who was invited and he attended the show. There are a lot of TikToks in Georgia. They are all crazy about it. Robert De Niro actually comes to after the show to the Sukhishvili Dance Company, and it's now run. So this gentleman with the long hair is the grandchild of Nino Mishvili and Ilya Sukhishvili, and they are in charge of the entire dance company. And he says that so Robert De Niro is like the second favorite artist of the Sukhishvili dance company, because the first one is the granddad, that is Ilya Sukhishvili. And then Robert De Niro kind of refers to his visit to Georgia in the very, very end of the Soviet period, like 1987. So and I just thought it would be a good idea to share it with you, because I don't think it's really that well known. So Robert De Niro was actually invited as a member of a jury to Moscow Film Festival. It was 1987. And he came. That was the year when, well, the kind of the um, um, like Iron Curtain already fell, but technically it did not, but it in reality it did. And Robert De Niro it was among other like world celebrities, like world level celebrities. Fellini was also invited among many others, so it was a big deal. And then for the evening, there was a big celebration in the end, and he was told to pick any actress he wanted, and well, just she would be his like plus one at the event, and he picked a young aspiring Georgian actress, Iya Pagava, and Iya totally blew his mind. He was absolutely mesmerized with Ia that he said after that there was a big program event. It was a big gala dinner at the end of the Moscow Film Festival. So after that he told Ia that he wanted to see her off. He wanted to take her home. And she said that it was not possible because her home was in Tbilisi. And this is when Robert De Niro, all the way from Moscow, got a plane ticket, and he, with Ia, flew to Tbilisi to take her home. And well, later on, so this is how we don't know exactly when their story started, but later on, she already after the collapse of the Soviet Union, she was able to come to Hollywood, and she went through internship for 2 years in the States in Hollywood. She even I think she kind of played in a couple of movies, but eventually, well, they broke up, and she decided to go back to Georgia, already independent Georgia, and she well managed to play at least in about a dozen of movies. By the way, so she became quite a popular actress in Georgia, and well, she was stunning. That's stunning and talented, and with that story, that's yeah, that was, well, she was destined to become a successful actress in a way, but this it didn't really work out in Hollywood. But she totally blew mind of Robert De Niro for several years. Who would have thought, right? And that's Robert De Niro already in Tbilisi with the Ia and I believe one of her friends. I'm not entirely sure. And then not so long ago, well, 20 years ago, Ia Parulava even starred in a movie that was erotic comedy, and that was I would say the one of the highlights, because that film eventually was presented in Germany in German festivals, and so that was kind of a she was actually the very first Georgian actress in the modern times, and all the times that was filmed naked. But I'm not going to show you that, but it is kind of an erotic comedy, but it's not about that I want to talk about. I want to talk about the Shengilaya family. So um the connoisseurs of 20th century movie industry and history of cinema, so to speak, well, they know the Shengilaya family, the Shengilaya brothers. So that comedy was filmed by Georgi Shengilaya, who was the brother to the one of the most um, ingenious film directors. I'm well, Misha must have spoken about Eldar Shengilay on his tours of Georgian movies and Georgian culture, and he passed away not so long ago, right? In 2000s, and Eldar Shengilaya filmed some of the most fundamental iconic movies of Georgia, and they even won the Grand Prix in Venice festivals, and in Germany his films were shown on multiple European festivals. And Eldar Gilaya, during the Soviet times, he was able to travel outside of the Soviet Union, and he was even sent to the States, where he made friends with some of the top Hollywood stars, such as Robert Redford, who passed away just last year, right? Which was an absolute shocker. And I think I was in Israel when I learned the news that Robert Redford had passed away. And Eldar Shengilaya invited Robert Redford to Tbilisi, back also in the Soviet times. And Robert De Niro, who also was a friend with Robert Redford, also told him to go. And Robert Redford came. It was the very, very end of the Soviet period. And Robert Redford came. There is the footage that I was able to find on YouTube, provided by the Sova channel, and that's Robert Redford, who came with his entire family. I'm sure you can recognize the monument to Vakhtang Gorgasali, right? This is the monument where a lot of my tours started, and that's Robert Redford standing there overlooking the Kura River, the Metehi Bridge, the old city. Just imagine, like, just average, Georgian scene. Robert Redford just walking in the street of it, like walking down Tbilisi street. Just imagine.
There are too many.
That was absolutely mind blowing. And there was even a short interview that I was able to find. So let's listen.
There are too many impressions to speak of here because there's not enough time. So I can only say that right here I am impressed and happy to be able to see this incredible history.
And he well he was given a very good tour. He walked in all the spots that I took you on my tours, and he was even taken to the deserters market, which I'm planning to return to when I return from Israel to Tbilisi. I'm hoping to take you there for another tour. And he was absolutely mesmerized by the variety of spices there. He took like a big bag of spices, Georgian spices, and he was just about to pay, but people on, like, the vendors told him they would not take money from him because they saw him just like yesterday on the TV, and then he was there buying spices from them. And he's also commented on how generous people were.
The rest of the world could have the wonderful expression.
Just a second, I want to go a little bit backwards with that just to have the full speech.
The rest of the world could have the wonderful expression and the wonderful warmth and goodwill of the people that I've met in Georgia. I think we would have world peace.
Yeah, so people were endlessly kind to him everywhere. There were also a couple of situations that he could have basically accidentally fell from a cliff. Yeah, but that he was safe from. And there is a story in connection with Sukhishvili Ramishvili. Let me get back to Nino Ramishvili and Ilya Sukhishvili. Yeah. Okay, that's the story. So, um, especially for the visit of Robert Redford and his family, there was arranged the concert, and it was on the same day he arrived, and he was so tired after the flight, so he sent his family back to the hotel and stayed. And after the very first dance, he rushed to call to his family to the hotel and said them to come back to the theater to see the performance. They came, and he was in absolute awe from the dances. So Robert Redford had only the best and the warmest memories of his visit, and he was a big fan of Georgia. He was a big friend of Darshan Goliath till the very end. And when the Soviet Union collapsed, and shortly before that, there was this 9th of April tragedy that I spoke about on my previous tours. He was the only Hollywood star that expressed his concerns and also expressed his support to Darshan Goliath and the Georgian people. That's an interesting story, right? And to top it off with a story of the secret bedroom, Well, we're going to be overrunning, but this is the last tour of the evening. And Anne, thank you so much for the coffee, by the way. Thank you, everyone who has supported me today. Thank you for joining my tours, and thank you for your understanding when some glitches happen. It really means a lot to me. As you know, all my tours are free to join, but they are tip supported, and I rely largely on your support. You could send me a PayPal donation. You could buy me a coffee as well. You could buy me coffees. And well, I always like sharing some, well, whenever I can add a story, whenever I can share a little bit more, and whenever I can connect it to something that you know or more familiar with, because I understand that Georgian culture is not something that everyone is very well familiar with. But now, thanks to my tours, hopefully, there's maybe even an idea to go and explore a Georgian restaurant in your area, because I'm sure there are a lot of Georgian cuisine places in the world, because Georgian food is a big deal. Georgian music, Georgian dancing, and now it's kind of been a little overview of some of the rooms that we have seen, and just in case, the recordings as of the previous tours are available from my sponsors, and there is a link on how to become one. And well, there are about 900 videos, more than 900 videos, including the 7 episodes of the Oldenburg Palace tours. And right now we are going upstairs to the attic. And so there was a little explication on the wall, right? So the kind of a secret room. So it's just the attic, and normally, well, what kind of rooms would be on the attic, right? There could be, well, there could be some servants' room, there could be maid's room. As we go there, so you see all these interesting decorations. These are the elements of decorations that used to be on this house, and also that were saved from different, from, well, will be found all around Georgia, but without any specific. Area it could be connected to. They just placed here different elements of decorations of houses from all over Georgia mainly. And well, I think this is the good use of the space, because in fact you are in the attic. What, like, what is this? What is going on there, right? But so we are heading to the secret room. This room, Mary, thank you so much for your tips. So remember, I told you that there was a legend as if Duke Constantine of Oldenburg made this indecent proposal to Agrippina Japaridze to uh, join him for an one night stand, but she said she would only do that when he built a house for her, and he did. And while, well, the rumors, the dirty rumors are saying that while the house was still being decorated and, well, still being constructed in a way, the interior works were being done, they already started seeing each other for many one night stands. And there was a secret room where nobody could see them, because again, she was a divorcee and he was a nobleman, like related to the Romanovs, the imperial dynasty, right? So they would see each other on that attic, and the room was found there. Obviously, this is not what the room looked like during their times, as you already know. And well, it looks like it was just the maid's room, the room for the lady in waiting. But the museum workers, the museum administration really enjoy this topic in a way. They try to be moderate about it, but people like stories like that. And well, the secret room is what really draws people to this palace too, apart from many other stories that's, and I just shared a fraction of them with you. But so this is the period furniture, and this is kind of the attempt to recreate what the atmosphere, what the furnishing, what the vibe would be like. But this is the original fireplace, by the way. It was found in another room and placed here. It's been, well, it's been restored, I believe, but it's not functioning because there was no fireplace in this room. And well, there must have been a stove or must have been something, but this is not what, from what I know, this is not on the original place, and it's not, the stove is not really functioning anymore. But yeah, so there definitely was a secret room. Whether it was the where it was the secret bedroom for Oldenburg and Agrippina Japaridze. This is a big question, and I'm pretty sure that it was not. So I told you I have nothing, I have no reservations about talking about legends, right? And interesting stories. I'm definitely okay with that. However, I still prefer to rely on facts as much as I can. And we know, and I spoke about it before, spoken about it before, sorry, that in fact after they got married, I'm just trying. Yeah, okay, this is good. So I think this is what we have. A little bit of the garden that I wanted, I promised to take you to. So uh, they got married. She was given the title of Countess von Zarnikau. She couldn't be given the title. She couldn't have been given the title of Oldenburg because she had been a divorcee, so she could not. But she was given another title, and she was invited to St. Petersburg. She was invited to that big ball to celebrate the 300th anniversary of the Romanovs on the throne and everything. So definitely there was no place for any sort of indecent proposal. But anyway, so I promised also to take you for a short tour of the area of the garden. It's not really garden, just a little bit of the yard, and it's just nice to see this beautiful example of this eclectic neo-Gothic architecture, absolutely unique to Tbilisi. There is just one more neo-Gothic building in the city, which is the school, a former gymnasium, uh, stained glass. This is the example of the very first scientific full-scale restoration. This house was just dilapidating. It's somehow it managed to survive the Soviet period of post-Soviet and also Soviet neglect. We know that during the Soviet times, for some time, there was an orphanage located next to this building, but again, throughout the 2000s, this painstaking restoration took place, and they managed to bring back life, light, and love to this palace, and I am in absolute awe from it. And again, here as well, you see they brought different elements of Georgian architecture, which they have not been able to let's say locate and to a specific area, and they just brought it here. This is where this is actually the service building, and that was a garage, by the way, but now this is where the administration of the museum is. And also they decided to place here a 19th century carriage, just well, for us to imagine what it must have been like back then for the Oldenburgs or their contemporaries. Well, it's just kind of for us to have an idea. By the way, this particular video is very fresh. Misha filmed it earlier today because I just couldn't find the video on my camera roll, and there was like so many thousands of videos on my phone. And imagine just how much I film on a daily basis, and I filmed so much for you in the old city, and I filmed so much for you on the Damascus Road as well. So there's going to be a lot to talk about. And the last thing that I would like to draw your attention to is this bust of the founder of this museum, David Arsenishvili. He was, first of all, he was the art collector and the connoisseur of world theater and Georgian theater, Georgian culture. And he is the one who made it possible for such museum to exist. First of all, originally when it was established in 1920s, it did not, obviously it wasn't housed in this building, it was housed elsewhere. But further on, it was decided to bring the museum here after the restoration, and I think that they couldn't have found a better place for it. By the way, this building was constructed way later in the 20th century, and this is where the orphanage used to be. Well, but these two buildings after the restoration, they look very much alike. They kind of blend and they don't contradict each other, even though there is a kind of a time gap, I would say even a generation gap between the two buildings. And yes, imagine this is filmed in January. There is still a palm tree, flowers blossoming, right? And it's nice to see that the snow has melted. because when I left Tbilisi, it was completely covered with snow. And yeah, lovely to see the roses too. Okay, so this has been it. I'm very sorry for a little bumpy beginning. Let's let me just turn the chat on and thank you properly for joining this tour, for joining all these 8 episodes all together. Let me once again thank you, Sharon. Share with you the schedule for the upcoming weekend. There's going to be one more tour added shortly. That's going to be on Anton Chekhov, Russian literature. That's the series of talks that Misha has been doing. And he has a big plan. So um, we're just approaching the 20th century, especially the dance segments in Robert Redford. Yes, Mary, I believe this is a very, really, really, really interesting story. And it's just how we can connect such very distant things in time, and all of a sudden it becomes so clear to us. Thank you, Mary. When was the play filmed with the actress in the headless? When was the play? Sorry, Sharon, what exactly are you talking about? Thank you, Joe. So thoroughly enjoyed this talk. Thank you so much, Ellen. In the beautiful dress. Oh, that is nine. I don't know exactly when the video was filmed. I believe it's the late Soviet period. Obviously, this is not from the times of Marjanishvili himself. Do you mean the Uriel da Costa performance? Um, that's definitely some Soviet period, but I'm not sure which year. Well, maybe actually, maybe not the late Soviet period. I'm not sure. It's black and white. It could be. It technically could be. 19th. No, I don't know. I don't know because I need to see. It was very difficult to find something. Well, I could have screen recorded something more modern, but I wanted something as close as possible to the times of Marjanishvili. I need to see, but that dress looked like the 20s. That's because Petra Otsheli worked in the 1920s, but I believe that it was filmed later on, maybe in the 1930s. But also the video quality was, I would say, a little bit better. Maybe it was remastered, still not perfect. So the dress is clearly 1920s, very very Art Deco-ish. That's because Petrov Heli worked in Art Deco style, and he passed away in 1937 anyway. The Thank you, Joe. Thank you. Well, I'm glad that you enjoyed this tour, and well, I hope to see you on my other tours next week too. The dancers, or Dolly say the dancers, beside the strength and flexibility, always adore their performance, dancing on their toes and jumping so high. Amazing. Yes, those are absolute stunts. They are also stunt artists, I'm pretty sure. So they can do all these unimaginable things with their bodies and balance and strength and the way they jump. I don't know. That's just incredible. That has reminded me of the rehearsal we saw together. Yes, when Sharon was in Tbilisi, 2 years ago already, right? So we just were lucky to see the rehearsal of one of the their other dance companies too. So we thoroughly enjoyed it in a historic building, by the way. It was beautiful. Yes, that was absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Jan. Thank you so much. And yeah, so and seeing Robert Redford enjoying Georgia and seeing them walking down the same streets that what we did on the tours, that's impressive. I know, yeah, that's just wow. Try to just stand on your toes for a few seconds. Impossible. Oh yeah, I'm not even going to try. What I'm going to try to do is actually go to bed finally to get longer, something more than 5 hours of sleep, and hoping to survive for the next week here in the Middle East. What can I say? Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me and Kisa. You gotta see this. You gotta see this. You have to see this. Very little human, right? She is a beauty, absolutely. She's a stunner. I'm so sorry. I must have invaded her privacy. I think she was taking a little bit of a shower, but I mean, you just have to see this. I miss her so much. That fur just shines. Yes. She's a stunning girl, woman. I don't know how old she is. Well, I think she's middle age. I'm not, no, I'm not sure, but she's gorgeous. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. I will be sharing the recordings as of this weekend around these days. And I can't wait to see you on my tours next weekend, too. Thank you for your support, your coffees, your PayPal donations, your kind words. Now, time for manicure, P and pedicure, I guess, right? Pedicure and mani pedi party? Mani pedi party for us tonight. Oh, very good. So Wilbert was already mailed the recording. I have had issues accessing some of the recordings, so I hope I will have more luck with this one. Let me see. Thank you so much, everyone. I think I need a video of that. So it's me, me finishing my last tour of the evening. Kisa is doing all those, cat things. I love it. She's the best partner in crime. Okay. Bye bye, everyone. She's all girl, absolutely. She's so smart.